What is going on, guys? Before I start the video, I just quickly want to say how fucking awesome you guys are. Your support for these videos has been insane. And one of the big factors of that is it helps keep me motivated, it helps keep me making these videos for you. So it's kind of a plus, it's a win-win situation at the end of the day. So thanks a lot for that, I just wanted to say that. So let's kind of get on to the video. We're at Red Rocket and I'm just gonna quickly go over what inspired me to build this settlement and what it's kind of gonna be about. So let's do that. There are two things that inspired me to come up with this idea, and the first one's kind of going to give what's going to go on away a little bit, because the first one is Mad Max and mostly the War Boys from the new film. If you haven't seen it already, you should check it out because that's a really cool film. And the other thing is these red jackets, because this settlement is going to be the Red Rocketeers, and they're going to be a bunch of crazy people that are building up war machines, or should I say battle cars, to kind of take over the apocalypse. So that's kind of my whole idea and what I'm going to try and go for. I'm going to try and build some like battle car looking things, which might be challenging. I haven't actually got down to it yet, so it might be cool. So who knows? So let's get to building. The first thing I did before properly building was mark out where I wanted my wall, and then I also marked out where I wanted the two gates for the settlement. Originally I wanted to use a bus as a gate, but I just couldn't get it to work, so instead I used a truck that worked just as good. If I open up the side you can get a better view, so I'm using the Craftable animated bridges, and all my mods will be down in the description if you want to check them out. And simply how it works is the bottom one lifts up the truck, the top left one pushes down the truck, and then the top right one just kind of cleans everything up and makes it just look a little bit more neater. Once I was happy with the way it was moving, I grabbed it all and placed it down into the ground. If you didn't follow my last settlement build, then place everywhere mod is pretty much like the shit. So if you haven't got that mod, I would really recommend it. It allows you to place everywhere and snap off like ground snapping and whatnot. It basically just makes your life a hell of a lot easier. Moving on, I started covering everything up. In this settlement, I'm going to be using a lot more metal, simply for the fact because these guys are like car crazy guys. Metal just seems fitting when it comes to building for them. I added a floor across the bottom of the gate to kind of clear it up. It was glitching into the bridge itself, so I lowered it a little bit, which solved it. But once I lifted up the gate, it kind of just looked like crap, so I removed it. I tried to realign the bridge to make it fit a lot better. Don't worry about the alignment issues at the moment, I fix it all in the end. I tested to see if the gate still worked. A quick tip for anybody trying to build something like this: if you're going to make any big adjustments, just quickly save beforehand, so if it causes the bridge to like mess up or not work, you can just quickly load the old save. Once again, trying to line everything up a little bit better, I used roofs to kind of clip the walls too. Don't worry, like I said before, I do get the alignment issues all kind of straightened up, pun intended. Another really cool mod are these wall dividers, which I use just to clean up the edge of what I've built so far. And of course I tested to see if it still worked with the wall dividers, because I don't want to get to the end of the build, try and use my gate and it just not work and not actually know what part of the build is causing it. Using corrugated, it is corrugated, isn't it? These kind of metal, kind of wavy sheets. Well, anyway, using these metal walls with the windows, I covered off either side of the gate. And now them wall dividers come in perfect hands, because the bridges and the truck were slightly still too high, but simply using these wall dividers, I was able just to fill in that little gap without adding another wall on top. Then I topped everything off with these shack roofs, making sure that lip was on the opposite side of the truck so it wouldn't catch when it was going up and down. And things were starting to take shape, but there was still a hell of a lot more work we needed to do. There was a little gap between the roof and the wall, but I didn't want to use wall dividers again, so I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So to fill in that gap, I used window boards and fences, mixing it up a little bit by adding them inside of each other and slightly off center. Another big tip I can give you when using these is the objects, some parts of it are further away than others, so you can have like bits of the wood coming through, so it kind of looks more like it's screwed to the metal itself rather than just fully glitching inside of it, if that makes sense at all. So I just repeated the same thing for the other side. Okay, sometimes it's good to take a step back from your build from time to time just to quickly have a look at it and make sure it's going the way you wanted it to go. Look how cool Strong looks. If I forget to put in a mod for his clothing down in the description, just give me a nudge and I'll drop it in down there. Speaking about taking a step back and see how it's going, I didn't like the metal walls at the bottom, so I ended up deleting them. So instead I used metal doorways, simply so I was able to activate the gates on the top. Then I cleaned everything up with a metal wall and some dividers. I pulled the top wall dividers out a little bit so the walls above didn't look like they float, and it also adds a little bit of texture to the side of the wall. This side was still looking a bit plain, so I added a brace, some boards and a support on the side just to make it look a little bit more realistic and add some more detail. I added another metal doorway on the other side and slightly moved the wall. I knew this was probably going to cause problems, so I quickly saved and then tested my gate. And I was right, so I just quickly loaded up my other save and no milk spilt. So doing a similar thing like the other side, I added some boards and some walls just to kind of clean it up. As these guys were into cars and engines, I added these big windmill generators on the gate because obviously something had to power the gate. I know it didn't actually power it in game, but on a realism kind of looks term, we needed something to power it. I placed them quite low at first of all, and then after taking a step back, I noticed if anybody wanted to get into the settlement, they could probably climb on the propellers. So I ended up raising them quite a bit. I then placed two large generators underneath the windmills just to fill in that gap, making sure I rotated the one so they weren't just repeating textures. Then to fill in a gap, I used a half wall on the one side and a doorway on the other. I didn't want to wall up the generators because that would be pointless, and I didn't want to leave them exposed, so I ended up using fences and I simply just stacked two of them on top of each other. And then I began walling off the sides. First of all I used these metal walls, and then I moved on to the tall junk fences. And after completing the other side, the junk fences just looked 10 times better, so I ended up replacing the metal walls on the other side. And we're done. That's it. I know it's a bit weird to make a whole episode just simply on a gate, but actually that gate took me like 3.5 hours to actually build. And this video is already over 8.5 minutes long, so I didn't want to add another 10 minutes just building a wall around this settlement as well, so I'm just going to leave that for the next video. But before I go, I just wanted to let you guys know I started a Twitter and an Instagram. I'm not going to be like, oh, you gotta go and like, follow, whatever. I simply made them so I can take screenshots when I'm building just to kind of give you some sneak peeks. So if you obviously want to follow them, links will be in the description. But for now, we are done here. So thanks again, guys, for all your support and stuff. You guys are amazing. And like comments as well. Like people generally giving pretty nice comments. And also people giving genuine feedback as well, which I really appreciate. If there's problems with the video, just let me know, but don't just be like, this sucks. Like, give a reason why it sucks and then I can improve it. So thanks to you guys as well. And in the next episode, we're gonna obviously hit up the wall itself. So if you liked the video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.